Hello and welcome to Altru Unscripted. I'm your host, Ken Harvey, and today we're speaking with Carma Hanson of Safe Kids Grand Forks. Carma, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
So I know Safe Kids Grand Forks is celebrating 30 years of being active in our community. Can you tell us about the inception of the organization and the role that Altru played?
So sometime over 30 years ago, there was a pediatric trauma surgeon by the name of Dr. Marty Eichelberger working at Children's National Medical Center in Washington, D.C. He was seeing kids coming into his operating room that either had some type of a disability or a handicap after the surgery, needed to have a long hospital stay, or maybe even passed away. And he said, I could spend the rest of my career trying to put these kids back together and face these traumas, or we can really try to do something preventative. And so he set out to create Safe Kids coalitions all over the country. One of our pediatric managers happened to be at a conference he was at and heard about this grassroots movement that was moving across the country. He came back and pitched it to Altru, United Hospital at the time, and they felt that it clearly aligned with our mission and decided to launch Safe Kids Grand Forks, and that happened 30 years ago.
Wow, that's such a great anniversary to celebrate for the organization.
It's really been our honor and privilege to be able to be within the community and now really expanding throughout the region over the last 30 years.
So speaking of that, Safe Kids Grand Forks led to the expansion in North Dakota for the Safe Kids organization. Can you tell us why that was so important to our region?
So when the Safe Kids were first started in North Dakota, we had Safe Kids North Dakota that covered kind of the western part of the state. We had Safe Kids Grand Forks and Safe Kids Fargo-Moorhead. About 10 years ago, the lead agency for the North Dakota Coalition wasn't able to continue in that capacity. So really all of our Safe Kids work was kind of being done up and down the valley. And we really felt like the western part of the state needed some effort there. So we worked with lead agencies in Minot and in Bismarck to launch Safe Kids coalitions there. So now we feel like we've got a broader coverage of the state of North Dakota. We know what to do to keep kids safe. Now we've got the capacity to really do that with our other coalitions.
So when you talk to people in our community, so many of the parents have stories about how Safe Kids help them with their families. Why is Safe Kids Grand Forks so important to parents in our community?
Well, I really feel like the most important job I've ever had of all the titles I've ever had is that of mom. And being a mom and a dad or a caregiver is a really, really important role. And yet it comes with very little orientation, right? And so we at Safe Kids try to be credible and respected. We try to meet parents where they're at, understand that it's a huge responsibility, and yet one of parents' primary role is keeping their kids safe. And so if we can make their job easier through helping them check a car seat or teach them about safe sleep, meet them at the places where they are with the questions they have about safety, that's what our hope is to be their partner in injury prevention.
That's really great. So many parents need that extra help when they're first starting out with their kids.
It's very overwhelming, and kids don't come with instruction manuals, and in today's day and age there are so many places that you can get information of people trying to give you advice and suggestions, and how do you know which one to follow? And so our goal with Safe Kids is to be credible and reputable and really non-judgmental, a place where people can come to us and not feel like there's any silly questions.
Absolutely, a resource for parents in our community.
And grandparents, foster care providers, teachers, law enforcement, healthcare providers. I mean, I even look at the healthcare providers within the system. There's a lot to know. And they can't know everything about everything, so if we can help guide them in how to put car seats in, or how to child-proof a home or things like that, we feel like that partnership is really critical to keeping the kids of our community and region safe.
That's amazing. I know we've discussed some amazing stories from parents in our community specifically. Can you tell us about one of those?
Yeah, so oftentimes when you read the newspaper headlines, you hear about the deaths that occur, and they're tragic and horrible. Our goal is to also point out the ones where we have made an impact, where lives have been saved. And a couple of stories come to my mind, but one that I'll share today is about Bonita. And we learned from a school a couple years ago about a girl who was involved in a situation where she actually was able to rescue her cousin and her sister from a swimming pool. What we later learned was that Bonita had come to our class that we've been doing for 25 years called Kids Don't Float. And when we went back to the site of that near drowning incident, we said to Bonita, how did you know to reach in the water and to do the Heimlich on your cousin? And how did you know to run for help when your sister was found laying at the bottom of the pool? And she said, because I came to your class and you taught me to reach, to throw, to go. Now that year we had trained 700 kids who knew that what we had taught over the course of 4 days was going to actually save 3 lives that day. So stories like that make it worth going to work, make all the days we spend in hot environments or cold environments or with lots of kids really, really, really feel like you're making a difference.
Yeah, that's so great to hear that, one life was saved because of the work that you did.
Well, and in that day it was 3, right? So knowing that we can make that impact, I think is what drives us and fills our heart with that passion to continue doing the work of Safe Kids.
That was such a moving story. In honor of Safe Kids Grand Forks celebrating 30 years in our community, you'll be sharing more stories like that one. How can our viewers receive those updates?
Yeah, we're going to be putting things on our Facebook page, Safe Kids Grand Forks, also on our website, which is safekidsgf.com. And, when we celebrate our 30th anniversary in January of 2022, we really want to celebrate the partnerships that have been created with all of our volunteers and partner agencies. And there are so many more stories like that to tell of lives saved or cases where maybe we could have done more, partnerships that have been made that really are working all across the region of Northeast North Dakota and Northwest Minnesota to come together and say, hey, we're going to keep kids safe at home, at school, at play, and on the way. So follow us on Facebook, go to our webpage at safekidsgf.com, and of course, our lead agency, Altru Health System. I know you'll be helping us to get the word out about the work that's being done.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us today. We definitely appreciate all the work that Safe Kids does for our community.
Thank you so much.
And for those of you watching at home, please stay tuned to our social media for more updates from Altru Unscripted.